Don. Thank you for being here today.
I'm so honored. Thank you for having me. It's so funny because this is the first show I've been in a long time, and it's interesting because I get like 40 to 50 people a month coming on my show,
Yep.
and it gives me a feel for what it is to log in and see what everybody has to do to connect their channels to LinkedIn Live. And
Yep.
but with that said, yeah, it's a pleasure. I know we had a great pre-go live conversation that will
Yes.
probably just carry into today. So, and I want to thank everybody who is watching and taking the time to uh, encourage comments, and anything we can address that's relevant and helpful. I think that's primary. So, Tanya, what's new and exciting?
What's new and exciting? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm heading to Texas this week coming up. I've got a presentation for a women's networking group. I'm going to be presenting at their group on networking and growing relationships and coaching. So I'm going to be on a plane, and my kids are all laughing because right now I'm at my daughter's house who lives in Bend, Oregon, and they have a lot of snow. And prior to me arriving last month, there was very little snow. Apparently I brought it from San Diego somehow. I don't know how the snow came with me from San Diego. Up until yesterday, the weather in Austin, Texas has been warm and sunny. And apparently the whole week I'm there, we're supposed to have thunder showers. So
Well,
I have a magnet on me.
well, every day's a new day. I see Kelly's with us right now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly. And
Hey,
Omar's
Kelly.
here. Omar was on my show with Rita and did a great job. So, yeah, it's just, the dynamic nature of what goes on every day. And then, LinkedIn and LinkedIn Live, it's like its own little world too.
Yes. Well, I don't know too many people who haven't been on your show.
Yeah.
I've been honored to be on your show. And I remember getting on your show being nervous. I'm like, I'm nervous. There's so many people watching.
Yeah, I never, what's cool about that when I started, and I was the only one who knew I was going to start. I knew I was playing to no audience, but I still had to run around the track.
Yeah.
And when you start with nobody, later on, you still think you're just talking to yourself.
I know.
When there's nobody that you can see. Yeah, Kelly's just great. She's been a strong anchor and foundation to what I've been doing and is on every week. And Paul's just,
Hey, Paul.
yeah, he's been unbelievable. I mean, with his referrals and his ability to connect people, I am so impressed with Paul, and I'm looking forward to doing what I can to make Paul and help Paul be as successful as he can. So great guy. Reach out to him. You're doing yourself a favor.
There, look at that. You can't get a better endorsement, Paul. That's so wonderful. I want to say a shout out to Rachel. She's calling in from Washington State. Awesome, Rachel. Yeah, talk a little bit about your show. Give us a little bit of history, how this came about, because you do, and I know I'm not bragging, but I can brag. I'm okay with that. Your show is phenomenal. You have an amazing following. When I've been on, obviously I watch a lot more. The comments just don't stop, right? There's so much interaction. I don't actually know how you do it all, so share how did all that happen and how did it grow?
I'm so thankful for the question because, a lot of times you don't want to come on a show and seem
absorbed,
or sharing your stuff when you could be sharing wisdom. But I think it's important is I was on LinkedIn for 2.5 years straight before I really got into LinkedIn Live. And I've been posting every day for 3 years. So it's 1,000 days in a row of putting a post out there.
Yeah.
In the last 7 months, more than that, 10 months, I've been doing a LinkedIn Live every day, 7 days a week. So I got a pretty good track record. And what I realized is no matter what I did on LinkedIn, and I got up to 37,000 followers, and there was some posts that went viral and got a couple 100,000 views and everything else, beautiful numbers. But it was almost like plant, cultivate, and go back to planting, which planting would be make connections, cultivating would be have conversations, but no harvest.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that a little bit earlier, is without a monetization plan, how do you afford the time when even what you're doing doesn't trend? If things were growing incrementally, say, well, geez, multiply by so many days and this is what you'll have. So how I got onto LinkedIn Live is I met another person who was pretty high end LinkedIn training. I mean, where people paying thousands a month and a lot of people.
Yeah.
And actually, I kind of helped them, and we ended up doing a LinkedIn Live 2 days a week for 6 months.
Wow.
But I could see my message and my way of doing things was not his way. And then I just decided, hey, I'm just going to do it my way, and I'll do it every day. And that's what I started doing. So fast forward a little bit, where things get a little bit more fun, is I'm doing it and I can only do 8 minutes, 9 minutes, because it's just me. And initially it was strategy. Here's what I do every day. Here's what I get. And then Tara Gooch, who I'm sure you know.
Yes. She's been on my live.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so great because people, it's like a comedy circuit. They go from one show to another.
Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah, she sent me a message and said, I saw your show and it was just me again. And I really blah, blah, liked it. And I said, well, let's have a Zoom. And then through the Zoom the next week, I said, well, come on Friday. And I think it was 5 months every Friday that she was on, and it got bigger and bigger. And then she got more visible and things blew up. But through her, she was on Trevor's show, the Saturday show.
Yeah.
And I met Gretchen Skelka and Jenny Maxwell.
Yep.
And then they started doing every Monday and Wednesday. And then met Kelly, and all of a sudden, all the slots start filling up. And then people start bringing friends and family, and here's what was so cool and still is. I'd say 90% of people come every day of the week.
Yeah.
Right. And when you, and to your point, from the minute it goes live, it's like, it just keeps flying the comments. And some people are putting 15, 18 comments themselves, because what I learned, 5 or 6 people will drive 100 comments, especially when you start breaking off into little circles among the big circle. And then people seeing everybody the next day. It's like, because they want to know what happened since yesterday.
Very true.
Exciting. And what we found from the topic situation, because I went in for strategy and technique, that stuff went out the window like in a week and a half.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can get that anywhere. And if I give you the 10 best tips today, it's going to have to be the 10 best tips tomorrow too. If I can come up with new tips, what's going on, right? So everybody was talking about anxiety, depression, PTSD, all this stuff. And at that point, everybody became equal because they met where they were in a situation. And all of a sudden, it's like where you went to school, what you did for a living, where you live, doesn't matter. And now everybody's getting help or giving help, which then makes their challenge less burdensome, because now after someone tells their story, and I thought of that today, what we're really doing is becoming the library of stories.
Right.
You know, and people are getting vulnerable and trusting. And all of a sudden, once it's out and everybody still loves you after it, then you don't have to deal with it anymore. Right. Now it's like building. So it's really about the community, Yeah,
it is. And I do agree with you so much about the stories, and I want to interrupt and say hi to
No,
Omar. And
please. I think the audience is where it's at.
I don't think my chat is working correctly because I'm thinking I'm only seeing mine and not yours, because I'm seeing people say hello to each other, but the other people aren't on my feed. So I've got something glitchy going on. So if I don't see somebody on and I'm not recognize you, I apologize. Don, I don't know what you see, but
I see a lot. I can just write, so we got Rachel. Well, Kelly says Donna's create a community where people feel safe to share their stories. And Rachel, such incredible bonds, library of stories, cool. Yep. Omar says Rita Wirtz. Omar was with Rita Wirtz on the show of mine. Rachel says I love that. Lillian, who is great, was in the dentist office today. I'm curious how that worked out. And she still made the show. Nice. Hi, Lillian. Then Paul, Christy Howard.
And I don't see Lillian. So I'm thinking I'm not seeing people that might be coming in on your side, which normally I do.
Huh. Then
yeah, I don't see Lillian. That's why I'm thinking there's something glitchy on my end.
Yeah. Then Paul, hello, Grandpa Don, grateful to
I've got everybody you mentioned except for Lillian, as I don't see. So
okay. Well, anyways, it seems like a pretty lively crowd, especially since this evening in some places.
So I'll have to figure out what's happening on my end. So if I don't recognize somebody, I apologize. But yeah, pretty much everybody. There was just a few names that aren't on my feed, so maybe they're logging in on your end, and I don't know why I'm not connecting with your side. Yeah, so Kelly says the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing all the comments either, Tanya. So yeah, I think I'm going crazy, but thank you. There's two of us going crazy.
Well, but you see with LinkedIn Live, it's live.
It's live. Yep.
And things happen. I mean, today I got blown off of my own. I had to climb back in and didn't know what happened. So whatever it is, that's also nice about having a supportive group.
Yes. Yeah.
Is they're not going to judge you on a technical situation. So what are you finding about everything that we're talking about?
What am I finding about everything we're talking about? I love the sense of community. I do. I love sharing stories, right? Stories, there's so many reasons, and some of it might sound a little corny, and that's okay. I don't mind being corny. Stories, it's like, I love when I was growing up, my grandparents came from a Russian community in China. They landed in San Francisco. They didn't speak English. My grandfather's first job was painting the Golden Gate Bridge. The higher you went, the more you got paid. And all of their stories, just to this day, I wish I could write a book about it, right? Stories leave a legacy, but also there's stories about people's struggles, right? That let us know that we're not alone. I'm not the only divorced, raised two phenomenal, women. They're 25 and 27 now. But when we share our stories, like, yeah, I've been through that, or I'm going through that now. And if she survived it, I can survive it. So the more we share stories, it fills my heart. Good, bad, ugly, authentic, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, everybody has a story, and everybody's story is worth telling. And really, when you're looking at people's stories, you're looking at their life.
Yeah.
And they tend to shape it depending on where they're thinking or what they want to share. But once you can get to know someone, and it's not like learning things for any other reason, but to understand people better.
Yeah.
Or put people or situations in context. And after a while, you find yourself like, I was just where that person was during this situation, or, hey, I know what you're talking about. I was there. And I think that's why older individuals have more experience, have more context and I think that we're talking about that is the opportunity for older people to be represented and share their stories with other people can be so valuable.
I just want to know when it happened that I became one of those older people. I want to know when that happened and how did that happen so fast? And I don't want to know if I'm accepting that yet. But yeah, I mean, like you, right? You're a grandpa. I'm a grandmother. And literally, my granddaughter, I have one, and she's about 18, 19 months. And I'm like, when did that happen? Yeah. But I'm there.
It's kind of funny you bring that up because I've got a granddaughter and a grandson. And my granddaughter, who's 12, left at 3 a.m. to drive 5 hours to Grand Junction through the mountains for a orchestra competition that she's in. And, it's just funny to see someone going off on their own and doing something at that age and having the confidence. And, things are happening so fast and in so many different ways and in so many different directions that without a support group, you're overwhelmed, and it's only going to get angrier. And that's what happens, I believe, on this difference between being on regular LinkedIn, which is posting and commenting, and LinkedIn Live, which is really broadcasting. And what I learned, which made me even more committed, is LinkedIn Lives get 24 times the comments of organic video.
Interesting.
And organic video is 5 times more than just text content. That's 120 times. I mean, when the show's over, there's like 20 hours of view time before it even posted.
Wow. So I want to interrupt for just a second because I want to comment on Melissa's post. So I actually have proof because we did a coffee chat the other day. She says, I'm a grandma who has a bigger coloring set than my grandchildren. Yeah, she's got this cup like this with like crayons and markers. It is so cool. So mine isn't anywhere like Melissa's, but I do have all these different colors, right, that I use when I journal or write or send a note to a client. But now I've got some competition.
Well, Melissa, I know her and we support each other, and she just has such a wonderful way of brightening things up, coloring things, really. And I think that's so important, is to redirect one's thoughts, relationships, and actions to where you are and where you need to be in the future. Take an inventory. But the best way is sharing with others what you want to do or what you're thinking of doing, getting some feedback.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be in the witness protection plan on LinkedIn, I mean, or the biggest kept secret, and you got nothing to lose. I mean, and I think that's where when people realize that no one's really making out here, no one's making a lot of money, people are putting a lot of time, a lot of thought, and they know there is an opportunity if you can figure out how to take advantage of it, because there are people on LinkedIn who win every day, do things in the past that continue to pay them into the future. And it's really knowledge share. I mean, if everybody brings a nugget and you got 40 people show up every day with a nugget to share, how much can you ask for? And we're just dealing with people and situations. So it's fascinating. But you know what? The faster you can get to where you want and the happier you can be along the way is really where you got to go.
Yeah, I'm all about getting there as quickly as possible. I know that everybody has their speed, and I know the old saying, the tortoise and the hare, and which one won. I want to beat that tortoise, especially at my age. I don't want to spend 10 years figuring out how to do something. Well, I'm cool.
I don't think people got 10 years that they can just wait. And the thing is that's why I'm doing everything I'm doing. I mean, I do 3 posts a day, a poll every day, a newsletter every day, a LinkedIn Live every day, tag 100 people every day, and do it forever. And you know what? It's all part of a system. And I've always worked with a sense of urgency. I never decided to lay back and wait or hope somebody's going to come to the rescue, because so far they haven't in a lot of situations.
Yeah. Well, I know Melissa has a phenomenal show, and I didn't even know these existed until I was listening to Melissa's LinkedIn show, and hers is an audio. So I didn't even know this existed. And, I had to kind of snoop around and listen and see how to make a comment. But her engagement is phenomenal on her show too. So hers is a little bit different. It was new for me. I'm not saying that it's new. I'm just saying for me, it was new. And just another avenue out there. But a shout out to Melissa's show. I've listened to it the last few Saturdays, and it's early. It's at 6 a.m. I'm like, okay, I better like this. too.
Well, I think that's a good point for the audience is there's so many good people who have quality shows. And,
Yeah.
it's almost like enroll yourself in a curriculum of, Paul just got his show going. I know Christy and Kelly got their show going this week. I know Melissa's show. And why not visit all of them, participate, enjoy, and learn and grow,
Yeah. I didn't know Paul had a show. So Paul, post a link or something, or invite me. And Melissa says never plan a post, never max a tag. Got a question from Paul, so let me put it up for you. Were you on Facebook or IG?
No, that's a good question. The only thing I've ever done is LinkedIn, because I still haven't mastered it. There's so much more to learn. Plus, they change things all the time that for me to get anywhere else and have to learn that. And the challenge with learning something is now you got to do it. And then once you do it, you got to support it. Right now I've got 400 hours of YouTube videos.
Wow.
On YouTube. Because every time I do a LinkedIn Live, it automatically
goes there. Yeah.
Goes there. That's tons of content. But who's got the time to edit it, do everything to market it, support it? And that's the challenge, it's like yelling at a stove to give you fire before you give it wood,
Yeah.
But, I'll tell you one thing about Melissa and Paul. I mean, they are so deep into this stuff.
Yeah.
That they're really like scouts where they're going out in places nobody is, doing things nobody are or is, and then coming back and sharing it in a group setting. I mean, and then most of it is actionable takeaways that you can apply once you get off the screen. I think that's huge.
Yeah. 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 The people I have met on LinkedIn far exceed, I mean, I've been on Facebook for a long time. When I was a realtor 20 years ago, that was the only platform at the time was Facebook. So I have a pretty strong following on Facebook. And the relationships on LinkedIn, the people that have come, like I have once a month, I have a guest speaker for all the people I coach. And, I've had people like Ariel Lee and Chris Hennessy, and they've all been on and to give pop-up trainings to my people. And all that comes from these relationships that I have, grown authentically on LinkedIn. That just surprised me. Just, like Melissa and Paul and, people, Rachel who shows up, but Rachel and I first connected on Facebook. So not forgetting you, Rachel, but our initial contact was on Facebook. But the LinkedIn community, at least the one, who I've connected with, is just amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
amazing.
I'm so gratified that people do show up and participate and are so respectful.
Yeah.
And kind to each other. I mean, people come in 5 minutes late and they apologize because of traffic or something. It's almost like they were late to a classroom. And what I've learned too is there are some really cool super connectors like Melissa, like Paul. And what I learned is when you combine circles, all the circles get bigger, right? And as
exactly.
Everybody, all of a sudden, it's like a mall that now everybody's free. And the other thing that's really cool is no matter who it is you're talking with, the amount of overlap in connections is small. I mean, I've got 36,000. I know that somebody else that was on the show had 31,000. Wow. There was only 3,000 that were similar. So when we came on the show, all of a sudden, everybody got 28,000 new eyes that wouldn't have seen them. And that's how you can leverage collaboration.
Right.
And that's really the key, how to do more through more people, and everybody wins.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an overwhelmingly large number when you're thinking about that. Hold on, let me see if there's a question. Yeah, well, I love what Kelly says. One of the beautiful things about LinkedIn is that the platform feels much more supportive and not full of critics like other platforms. Yes. I mean, there are once in a while, there'll be a creepy comment or, DM and I just delete it, block them or whatever. But yes, absolutely. 100% agree with Kelly for sure. Okay. So I have a personal question because we're getting close to the half an hour. What do you love about being a grandpa?
About everything, because the nice thing is that I always have an audience that can't wait to see me. At least they're young enough at this point to be like that. So,
Yeah.
it's always like, well, if they don't want me, I know who does. And I know, and I'm available. So it's easy to go to their school. I mean, they're 10 minutes away, and that's when there's traffic. And they live in the same house my daughter was born in.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
she's been there all her life. And so I come home to my old house and don't even think that it's not mine anymore. But the point is they're just an open slate, that is innocent, fresh, and it really gives you hope,
Yes.
And
Yes.
just one thing I want to say about this group, like Tanya and so many other people, I've gotten to know everybody, at least know they're good people with good hearts and good intentions. And I think when you know that, then the focus is on what can we do together versus
Yeah.
what do we got to worry about here. And I think that spreads, because if you want to get really deep with what's going on in the world, I believe one of the best hopes is peer to peer, helping the person next to you, help the person next to them.
Yes.
And that can really spread in a good way. And that's what's important, because there's enough wealth within all of us.
Yeah, the population keeps growing, and I talk to phenomenal coaches like Melissa and Gretchen, and I'm pretty sure it's mutual. I don't look or consider them competition. They're going to resonate with me or Melissa or Gretchen, or our niches are different. Either way, we support each other, collaborate. Melissa, I'm so grateful for the time you spent with me yesterday, and there's just so much value we can give to each other. And when we don't look at it as quote competition, it just is, priceless. It is.
Everything is timing too, because I'm playing to a packed house every day.
Yes.
Right. So if there's any overflow or not enough, let's circulate, because at the end of the day, it's the person people come and stay for.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the show. And if people like you and how you project, and more importantly, who's your crowd, then everybody wins.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
I would think that, a lot of people who come here tonight or go to my show, we're going to be doing something if they weren't either one of those places. So they had to make a conscious decision to change what they do to be here. And if they decide, hey, an hour with Tanya or Melissa is great, well, why don't we try an hour with Paul?
Right.
Right. If you're watching TV, you probably have 6 or 7 shows that you're focused on, and no one gets any worse. But you see, you can't say something and not do it. You can't say I'm inclusive and I honor all these people. I look at how many people can get off the runway that I put together.
Yeah.
I'm looking to graduate people, because there's so many more coming through.
Yep.
And you learn from the people who succeed.
Yep. Absolutely. And you have a very large runway.
Yeah, but you know what? You can only do what you can do, and you can only be where you are, and that's all. And I think what comes with it is forgiveness. There's so many things I know I could have done better, but I know if I would have waited to do better, I wouldn't have done nothing. And whatever you can do is all you can do, and that's all you can do. And there was a book on that.
I said, Melissa's saying I'm playing puzzle games on my phone too, LOL. I was thinking you were coloring, but okay, good enough.
Well, I think that's the essence of everything, is if you can laugh, if you can have a good time with people, get your mind off of stuff, and know that if you can laugh now, you can laugh again.
Yeah.
And not be so harsh on yourself, and actually not be so sensitive to strangers who tell you things that have no idea what they're talking about or who they're talking to, and let that affect you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so Melissa, just thought of this when Melissa had posted a compliment to Gretchen. Gretchen and I, when we get the urge, so we don't have a consistent time yet, but Gretchen and I on Fridays will and have gone live and talk about coaching, right? Because I'm more of a business coach a lot of real estate agents and business owners that work around homes, and Gretchen's more in the corporate world. Melissa, you have to join us. The three of us need to go live. We call it Coach's Corner. And we've had some, we've gone live now around this topic around coaching, and it's been a lot of fun. We laugh, and it's you can't not laugh with Melissa, especially if Newman is anywhere around her dog. And then my dog Charlie hops on. We're good.
Well, it's also because, me and Gretchen have been doing a show for 5 months she does Mondays. It's just to see how she's grown.
Absolutely.
And expanded and blossomed. Yep. I mean, that's what's so gratifying, is watching people evolve in just a short period of time, because now they're actually getting the spotlight they always deserved. They're getting their voice heard the way they wanted heard. And that's real. And that's what's so rare today, is anything that's authentic or real or anything like that. So I think a lot of the old school ways are coming back, because people are starting to understand relationships have value.
Yeah. Being transactional, I mean, there are people who are successful who are very transactional. Not my cup of tea. I'm very relational, and as everybody here on the show, and obviously you. All right, it's been a half an hour. Any last questions for Dawn? Any last words from you of wisdom?
I just think that find people who you admire or appreciate what they're doing and get closer to them and start supporting them. I mean, if you like Melissa and what she's doing, visit a show, look for her post, comment, support her, because that's what comes back to you. I always said it's so easy to play this game because it's like Hold'em and everybody sees each other's cards. And what I mean by that, if you go to someone's post and they got 12 comments, you know what they all look like. Yeah. Add another line to say you really read it or watched it and what it did for you. And over a week of that person is going to appreciate you more, want you to keep doing it because you're helping them with feedback, but you're also giving third-party validation.
Sure.
From you to everybody else around you. And, I think, and what it says is, if you believe it, work on that belief. I wouldn't be phony with anybody, but, how many people have you seen that there's something that's complimentary about them and you should compliment them, and you hold off, and later, why don't I just tell them I love that outfit, or boy, that's a great truck you got there, or whatever it is. And I think whatever you give, and I've seen it, comes back to you in so many better ways.
Absolutely. All right, Dawn, I really appreciate you being on the show.
I think it was great. I think you're great. I love the audience. I've had a chance to see most of these people twice today, if not more. And it is family, and I think when you talk about monetization or all that other stuff, it pales in relationship to the wealth of friendship, of support, that you're never alone when you're with a group like this.
Yes.
And that's something a lot of people don't have. So we should be grateful and be modest and humble are my last 2 words.
Well, I couldn't have said it better. And thank you. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us today, being here today, and in the future and in the past. And anything we can do, let us know. Please connect. Anybody who's new on the show who doesn't know who Dawn is, you'll find him on LinkedIn. Right? Is that your platform? Everybody right to LinkedIn?
I'm there every morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. So feel free.
Thank you.